Welcome to the Rotary Club of Bearden. We would like to welcome all visiting Rotarians and guests. I'm going to ask that you silence your phone. To lead us in the song today, I think I saw Janice floating around here somewhere. There she is.
After last week, I'm incognito. You remember what we did last week? We tried to sing "This Land Is Your Land." No, so we need to work on that one.
We have to sing it fast.
Yeah, but we're gonna have to work on that. So we're gonna sing "My Country 'Tis of Thee." So this is a good one. Everybody knows it. All right, here's your pitch. Are you sure, everybody? Ready? My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. Thank you.
Thanks, Janice. To lead the pledge, I've got Michael.
Yep. Please place the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And for invocation, Steve Chansey.
Before we pray, let me get a plug in. My wife will get mad at me over this one, but there is a show I would recommend you watching, particularly you Hebes. It's called The Chosen. It's on Netflix, I think. If you have not seen that, it's really a clever depiction of Christ and biblical stories, basis from the story, but it gives Jesus and the disciples, the chosen are the disciples, and it gives them a personality in a sense of humor. It's really good. I suggest you watch it if you have not watched it. So now if you would, bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. We thank you for the food, for the fellowship that we enjoy here today. We ask your blessing on our country. Please let us get on the right path, a sensible path, in the way you would have us do. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, Steve. Paul Yeager, do we have any visitors?
We have no visitors to report.
Paul, great job today.
I got everything correct.
That's a first. All right. Gary West, stream cleanup.
Yes, we're still on for tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. We're going to meet actually across from Ed Campbell's office on 11. Actually, it's the old, what's the building? Jefferson, Joseph Construction. Thank you. It's the old Joseph Construction parking lot. So that's where if you're looking for it, just if you see a City of Knoxville trailer, environmental trailer, that's where we're going to start right there. So you don't really need to bring anything other than there's plenty of bug spray, hand sanitizer. We have all the waiters. If you want to put some suntan lotion on that, bring it yourself. I'll have some donuts and some water there. So you really don't just come and if you're going to put waders on, I would not wear boots, but you do need to wear like a tennis shoe or something. But boots are really hard to get down on those waders, so I wouldn't do that. If you want to work, if you don't want to get in the water and just work on the ground, that's fine too. Because we'll need people once we get the bodies up on the shore. We need people to drag them over to the spot. Anyway, I hope, and please, if you haven't signed up, you want to sign up, well, we can use all the people we can get. So.
Thanks, Gary.
What time are we meeting?
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Well, be there by 9 a.m.
Yeah.
All right. Other thing that we had our president's meeting yesterday, and August 15th we're going to have Pack the Park. So we'll have tickets in the next week or so, and we'll have a sign up for that. It's $14, but out of that, you get a $6 voucher, and $7.50 would go toward the game, but $6.50 goes toward the foundation. And as I understand it, that $6.50 is doubled by Bill Gates, so that's another $13. So you pay $14, $19 goes to the foundation, and you also get a $6 food voucher. So it's a good deal. They're giving it away. So that's August 15th, and we got a couple of months to do the sign up, and we'll get that out. Yes, any other announcements? Janice?
Just mobile meals.
Yep.
Today was Mobile Meals Delivery Day, and I had the pleasure of having Doug ride with me, and so he is a bona fide, officially trained Mobile Meals deliverer. He's been asked to go dancing. He's, it was a really good day, yeah. Yeah, so it was very interesting. Doug is an old hand at this because he delivers on those special days, which is the Friday after Thanksgiving and some of those days. He's the people that would leave us, and he and his two daughters deliver, but he'd never delivered on our Tago Terrace route. So thank you, Doug, for doing that. I think we had a great time. And so if you would like to join Doug, and we've got Monty's and his crew that does it on the 5th Friday. Jean is going to ride with me, aren't you? Sometime this summer. Yeah, I know she is. Ray Fisher delivers, Bruce delivers, Kelly delivers. So if you'd like to join that august body of deliverers, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
So did he get more offers than Bruce Bankley?
You know, I think you did. I think you did.
Sounds like a competition. Any other announcements? Rosa? I think you're, no, but you're doing the introduction, aren't you?
Just want to be clear.
Yeah, I understand that.
You know, English is not my first language, so I want to make sure. Well, I have the pleasure, I guess I'm introducing both of you, see? Okay. So, first I have the honor of introducing, I can't say your first name, darling, but I'm going to say your nickname, Ronnie Chandler, who I've had the pleasure of working with for a long, long time. She and I actually worked together on the Knox County Schools DEO task force, which was like 10 years ago. Was it 10 or 15 or 100, somewhere along those lines? And she has been, she's had an illustrious career. She started out, even before she started with Project Grad, she'd already been working for 23 years. What are you, 140 now? Yes. I mean, my God, girl. And she started with when Project Grad started, initiated in 2001. And I'm shocked that she's going to be retiring this June, but I'm very, very happy for you since I've been retired for 11 years and love it. So I'm very happy for you. And so she's been the CEO since 2014. So they're going to talk about, she's a local girl made good. She went to Austin East High School. She graduated from Pellissippi State and Tuscaloosa University with honors. And she's also just recently received her master's degree from Johnson University. So she's obviously a lifelong learner, so that's really great. And I don't know you, Mike, but I guess I'm going to get to find out about you. Mike Taylor is the CEO of the Knox Education Foundation. He serves, KEF serves Knox County Schools, the third largest district in Tennessee, with more than 60,000 students. Prior to joining KEF, he served as the CEO of the Enrico Education Foundation. Remember, English is not my first language, right? Richmond, Virginia, and Executive Director of the Mountain Education Foundation in Signal Mountain, Tennessee. Mike is a native of Oak Ridge, graduated from the University of Tennessee, and is currently pursuing a master's in public administration from Gardner-Webb University. Is that a real school? Okay. He has 30 years of nonprofit management and fundraising experience, including 15 years of leadership in the education foundation industry. Mike has a passion for creating strong schools and ensure all children reach their fullest potential, which we love. His work is focused on transforming public education through the expansion of best practices, creation of innovation in the classroom. He's married to his wife Julie, who is a native of Chattanooga and a graduate of UT Knoxville, and they have 3 children. I forgot to mention that Ronnie has, she also has children. How many do you have, girl? And she's the wife of the late Timothy Chandler, the mother of 2, and has 1 grandchild. So I'd like to welcome both of you to make your presentation.
Thank you so much, Rosa. Good afternoon, and it's a pleasure to be here with you.
Do you want me to do it? I'll do it. You just tell me when.
So in 2001, Project Grad Knoxville was established with a focus on providing opportunities and removing barriers to access and success for 14 schools, 2 high schools, 2 middle schools, and 10 elementary schools with a grad scholarship and support through post-secondary. Initially, Grad was a 12-year public-private partnership with Knox County Schools. Then the original agreement was extended for 5 years in 2013. And then a new 5-year agreement was made between Knox County Schools for 2018 through 2023. Under that 2018 agreement, school-based student and family support at elementary and middle school level moved to community schools with Great Schools Partnership, and Grad focuses on high school and post-secondary. In 2020, our board voted to support creation of a new Knox Education Foundation as a long-term sustainability for the work, bringing together Great Schools Partnership and the Grad 501 Incorporation. Project Grad programming continues, and now continues under the Knox Education Foundation platform, as the current 5-year agreement will conclude at the end of this month. Grad will now be sustained through the resources of the Knox Ed Foundation and not a school system contract. For 22 years, Grad has provided experiences and exposures for young people who have great potential, but who must navigate concentrated challenges. Most students served by Grad are students from low-income circumstances, communities of concentrated challenges, and the majority are students of color. Since the first Grad cohort of 2005, more than $9.2 million has been awarded in Grad scholarships. 5,600 Summer Institute experiences have been provided. 900,000 in stipends have been earned by the students completing the institutes. And pre-COVID, Grad scholars were completing post-secondary at a rate that far exceeded the national average for similar students, 11% nationally and 45% for Grad scholars. Today, Grad scholars and alumni are educators across our school district. They hold leadership positions across the city, the state, and the nation. And here are some examples. The president of the NAACP Knoxville is a Grad kid, as is the education director for the Urban League, the regional leader for the Tennessee Immigrant and Refugee Rights Coalition, the executive staff lead for the Black Cultural Center. Grad also has teachers, the 865 Academy administrators, nurses. We have a doctor of pharmacy. We have a doctor of physical therapy, 5 attorneys, school-based mental health therapists, stylists, mechanics. 2 Grad alumni serve on the staff of Grad, and 2 are on the Project Grad board. And across the years, Rotary has supported young people. Several individual clubs have contributed to the Grad WATE telethon, and Rotary as a region has provided a study abroad Rotary exchange opportunity for an AE student. Your support is still needed. Grad is not going away when I do. The work of Project Grad will continue under Knox Ed and expand in new ways. Grad will look different, as is true for every industry post-pandemic. Cynthia Manning-Durrell, who is here to my left, will be the point of contact for Project Grad Knox Ed. She has a wealth of experience with Grad as senior college access coach, Grad team leader for both Fulton and Austin East. She also directed the Empowerment Zone Career Center at Mississippi for a decade and has worked with KUB and the University of Tennessee. She's also the daughter of a legendary mason who led the Austin East brick masonry program for many years, Jack Manning. Grad Summer Institutes will continue. There'll be new scholarship opportunities. The telethon will continue and will broaden in support from just laptops to other tools. You'll hear more about that in a moment. There are many changes affecting our public schools. Knox Education Foundation has a new CEO who's come home to do this work, Mike Taylor. Knox County Schools has a new superintendent. The superintendent has created a regional leadership structure dividing the district into 5 regions. Knox County Schools is among the 100 largest metropolitan school districts in the country. Knox County Schools is transitioning every high school from a traditional high school design to career-themed academy at every high school. The KCS 865 academies are intended to provide a more business and industry direct connection. There's now a portrait of a graduate that every high school is working toward, and Knox County Schools has created an infrastructure for college and career access that directly aligns with the 865 academies. And Dr. Riswick, the superintendent, often says they're building on the lessons learned from the Grad partnership. Community schools will transition to United Way on July 1, and those elementary and middle school community school sites will continue. So a lot is happening with our public schools. The creation of the Knox Education Foundation to lead private sector support of public education could not come at a better time. Mike is going to tell you more about the framing of that work.
Ronnie, thank you. Ronnie, thank you. I appreciate that. And I do want to say I joined Knox Education Foundation January, and it has been an absolute pleasure to work with Ronnie. We're going to miss you. Don't be strangers, so we'll know where to find you. But I can say too, Cynthia's fantastic. Is going to step right into that work. And so to tell you a little about where we are today, because as Ronnie shared with you, she's retiring June 30 after incredible work and an incredible legacy that Grad has put together. But there's some changes that are coming and things that are going to really help, I think, strengthen students long term. And so in this change was the creation of the Knox Education Foundation, which is really a merger of Great Schools Partnership and Project Grad Knoxville. The two coming together to create a robust nonprofit organization that's focused on school improvement work. And that's what education foundations across our country do. So I've been in the education foundation industry about 15 years. Was recently elected chair of the National Association of Education Foundations. And I like to tell people, think of us as the research and development arm of your public schools. We're here to look at creative approaches, provide funding for new ideas, things that we can test. And as folks ask me all the time, well, shouldn't my tax dollars pay for that? Well, I respond with saying, what better way than to take those outcomes, and you can take them to the school board, you can take them to the county commission and say, look how we improved outcomes for kids, or we increased graduation, or we reduced behavioral referrals, or we saved you money. This is something that ought to make its way into every classroom or every school across our community. I've got our mission up there. It's to be a catalyst for the transformation of public education by investing and advocating in innovative programs and partnerships and initiatives to achieve excellent outcomes. And while there's some transitions coming with Project Grad, that work will continue. And the community schools work, which has been with us, and Great Schools Partnership will then transition in July to United Way and to their oversight. So I'm going to give you a little bit about our priorities for 2023. We're wrapping up our strategic plan, so I'm going to give you some high-level things to share with what's taking place and where we're headed, what we're doing as an organization. So the first piece, really kind of 4 areas that we're focusing on for this next year. The first one is data analytics and innovation. There's a number of things that as an organization we do, and we're going to build on past work. The first one are innovative and special projects. So there are a lot of things that we help the school system take a look at, some studies, take a look at things that we can do to help strengthen the work that's taking place. Some of these, like the 865 Academies I'll talk about in just a minute, came out of that work with Knox Education Foundation, funding that, looking at a way to reinvent the high school experience that has more hands-on learning that's taking place with businesses. It's more trades related, a lot of things that get kids, you're still doing your classroom work, but we're getting you out of the classroom and into businesses, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And some evidence-based strategies that we do, again, to support the school system's top priorities that were announced by Dr. Riswick. The second area is our student and family support. And this is district-wide support, and it's support they're giving in the classroom, whole school, student and family support. And the first part of that is Project Grad and their direct support of Region 5. So with the changes, we're still going to have dedicated staff in Austin, East, and Fulton High School. If you're not familiar with how the school system has divided up the schools, Region 5 is different than Commission District 5. That's confused some folks, but it's really the central core of Knox County and Knoxville City are in Region 5 and those feeder schools. So Austin, East, and Fulton High School, and does some of Central go into that too, or is it just kind of on the edge of that a little bit? But all the feeder schools are in that region. And the way that Knox County Schools, or KCS, has divided that up is rather than having somebody that oversees elementary schools and middle schools and high schools, they've got somebody in each region that oversees all the schools and all of the things that are impacting those schools. And I've found that's a more efficient way to support a school. So that's the reason for that setup. But Project Grad will have dedicated staff, folks at Austin, East, and Fulton, and then we'll have a relationship manager in the community working in the feeder pattern and working with the schools there to provide support to students and families to ensure they're doing well in school, on-time graduation, and we're addressing any barriers that exist. The next piece is the Student Success and Family Support Fund. And this is one of the new things with Project Grad. And I wanted to share a little bit about this because Grad's done an incredible work and has had a lot of focus on scholarships. But one of the things that we're finding with students today is that it's getting them to those existing scholarship opportunities. In Tennessee, we're so blessed with Tennessee Promise and Home Scholarship, but sometimes students aren't qualifying and there are barriers that are getting in the way. So what can we do with, I'm going to call it Grad 2.0, to get to some of those things? And the first is through this fund, through the Student Success Fund, which is new this year. If a student has qualified, say a student from Austin East or from Fulton has qualified for a regional competition or national competition, those are really expensive. Kids are out funded. You probably had your own kids say, hey, I need you to help me fundraise or put up the money. Will be a fund to ensure that kids that have financial need can attend those, that there's no reason they can't be a part of those competitions because those open up scholarship opportunities and help in college applications. Any academic prerequisite that a student needs to take or is missing also falls into that. So we've got a student, maybe they've moved here and there wasn't 3 years of foreign language required where they came from. They don't have the funds to take it at night school or evening school. There will be support to do that along with credit recovery. If a student didn't do well and didn't pass a class and they need to retake it for on-time graduation, again, there'll be some supports that are there in addition to what exists, along with additional assistance with ACT and SAT prep in advanced placement and IB exams. The next part of that is the Family Support Fund, and again, providing some assistance, financial assistance to families in crisis in Region 5 to ensure that that's not a barrier for their student doing well in school. And again, that's been a lot of the traditional work with Project Grad, but we're going to ramp that up with some additional funds to so we can get same-day answers to folks and really help come in at a time of need. The Knox Opportunity Fund is something that will support students outside of Region 5 with some similarities, but it won't have dedicated staff. It won't have that mentoring and support that's on site with those individual relationships that are taking place with the Project Grad work. The next piece is educational initiatives and educator development. And in that is our priority-based grants initiative. So that's kind of a revamp. Great Schools Partnership used to do Teacherpreneur, which was a competitive process. This is a process, again, it's an application that's got to go through a process because we require outcomes on all the things that we do. But it can be a grant to support a classroom, it can support an entire school, an entire department at KCS, or it can be an entire region. And let me give you an example of the types of things that can be in there. So say instructional technology is trying to develop a drone unit for middle school students. So this would be pilot funding where they can test out several different things, write the curriculum, put it together, test it with multiple schools, and then come back with whatever the final product is, which then again ends up being put in place by KCS, but this becomes that research and development piece. Our priority-based grants are really kind of you're going to tell I'm an old school UT business guy here, but it's a total quality management approach to looking at barriers and issues at the school level and getting those solutions to the leadership team at the school system so they can respond to that. And sometimes it's funding a pilot project. Sometimes we're able to connect existing resources that doesn't cost any funds from the foundation. And sometimes it's an opportunity for us to inform the school system to say, hello, Dr. Raswick, did you realize there are 5 schools, 5 elementary schools with the same challenge? Were you aware of that, and is this a systematic issue? Is it something that we can provide some resources to? Do we need to study? It gives us a way to inform decisions in ways that they may not be able to see that. Because if you think about, we're blessed to have a district that supports 60,000 students, but 5,000 teachers cannot pick up the phone and call the superintendent and say, hey, I've got this great idea, right? It becomes a process to take those ideas to leadership. Again, training and support for educator professional development. And then literacy support. If any of you have been following along in the last few weeks with One Hope Green City, I brought the book that Foundation put a book in the hand of every elementary school student in Knox County this year. It was Zoe and Sassafras. And it's a project where every student at the school is reading this book along with their teachers and other folks and doing it together. And it was really a fantastic program. It's something we'll be expanding on. Knox County is a big Knox County government, a big supporter in that too, as we work on literacy. And so that's just one of a few projects that fall under that literacy piece. And it's one, again, that there'll be a new book for next year, but the foundation works with the school system in selecting that and raising the money to put books in every student's hand. Because what you may not realize, that in middle-income communities, the ratio of books in the home, age-appropriate books in the home to children, is about 15 books to every child. In low-income communities or communities of need, that ratio is 1 book to every 300 children. And it's not because parents don't want to buy books. It's because when you're trying to figure out how do I pay rent, how do I feed my family, right? Those things come first, and just simply putting a book in a child's hand helps with those literacy skills. And then the last piece that we're focusing on this year is in the career development, workforce, and college readiness. And I first, a few minutes ago, mentioned the 865 academies. This is an approach at every high school that gives a student an opportunity to look at career paths, learn about them, and determine if that's a direction that they want to go as they move on past high school. And it starts initially, it's not a magnet school. We've had a lot of people get confused on that and say, my kids have to apply. No, it's not a magnet school. It happens at every school. And each school will have multiple pathways. In those pathways, we will, the foundation is the convening partner. We'll bring businesses to the table that will help provide experiences for students. And so let me give you an example of one of the folks that's a partner with us right now. So UT Medical Center that we're talking about. So if you have, for example, UT Medical Center, and I'm just going to pick a high school, say at Fulton High School, students will learn about different career paths. And if you say, hey, I'm not interested in being a nurse or a doctor, well, they need accountants, they need lawyers, they need folks that look at maintenance, a lot of different things. So the students will choose a career path and learn through the lens of those companies. And each school will have about 4 different partners that'll be those lead partners. Other partners will do work in between, but it gives them an opportunity then to go on site and do things. So as a freshman, you learn about career paths. As a sophomore, there are things at the school that students will learn about from that career perspective. As a junior, you'll go to that business and spend time doing coursework for school at that business. And the goal then as seniors will be then that they have internships that are helping prepare them for the workforce. So it's a way to bring businesses into the school and students into businesses that offers flexibility. It doesn't necessarily lock them into a particular path as far as with healthcare versus, as we were talking about accounting earlier, right? But it gives them a chance to learn through that lens. And that's a new approach to what's happening in high schools. We have 8 high schools this year that started with that. Ronnie, how many more are we adding next year? 3? I think there are 3 more coming on. Maybe it's everywhere except 3, with the goal that the following year all 16 high schools will be into the 865 Academy model. I'll be happy to, again, answer some further questions on that with you a little later if you have them. It's big to kind of get the concept, but once you see it, it makes a lot of sense. The foundation also helps with developing business partnerships with our schools. And then the last piece is the Tools for Post-Secondary Success Fund. And this is one of the things that's going to be a real core piece of Project Grad work going forward. And this fund is really looking at any barriers that exist to ensuring a student transitions successfully to whether it's community college, technical school, 4-year college, or any type of trade. So for example, if you have a student that's qualified to go to a technical school, but they don't have the funds for the steel-toed work boots, we don't want that to be a barrier for a student to get into that program. Right? So this is a fund where the grad staff will be able to address those needs. Could be a laptop for a student that's going to school, could be nursing scrubs, could be a number of different things that's needed to ensure that students have those things, along with certifications and licensing things. Again, you've completed the auto mechanic program, but you've got to take the ASC test to get all the certifications. We want to make sure there's not a barrier to students transition successfully. In that, there will still be some scholarships that support students that have scholarship need through the work with Project Grad. So as you think about the incredible stories Ronnie's been telling you over the years, that work continues with staff that are embedded in schools. What changes is some of the different funds and approaches that we're doing to expand that out within the feeder pattern and to make sure that students are taking advantage of Hope Scholarship, Tennessee Promise, and other opportunities that exist for them today. So that was I know, a lot to digest and a high-level overview. But as an organization, you're going to be seeing and hearing more about us as we're doing things, as we're really here to make sure every school is great and to provide a way that every business and partner can connect with our public schools and make a difference. And I know we've got some handouts Cynthia will pass around that kind of highlights these 4 priority areas that we're focusing on this next year. And then a little bit about the academies. It's the purpose of Grad to give you some information on that. I'm sure you guys have questions, so I'm going to pause and take questions. Yes?
I'm not even sure this is something that you guys handle, but I was in the Big Brother Big Sister program, and I got close to 2 or 3 of his brothers. This is going to affect, probably be directed more at the low income, because they were low income. You guys do a really good job from your presentation with businesses coming in and helping them go get training, but what I see is I'm a little disappointed in the school systems where you have someone graduate, they don't go on to college, they have a situation at home. I would like to see a bigger push for vocational classes to teach a trade in high school.
Yes.
So where they could directly go from high school and go into a job and be able to help provide for the family. I think that's a shortcoming from what I've seen that I've really been disappointed in the school systems in the entire state.
No, I think you bring up a good point. And that's part of the reason for the 865 Academy approach. It's to bring more of that into the high schools so that instead of your traditional, if you think of the traditional career technical education program, we've got the auto mechanic shop and we've got the home building crew down here, right? You can learn all about it. This is a chance now to say, we're going to bring real businesses from the community into the schools, so it may be the Lowe's home improvement shop, and then we're going to send you out on job sites when you're a junior to actually see how they do it, so that when you're learning from that electrician or you're going with ABC Electrical or whoever it is, you're actually going to go to job sites and see them doing it and learn from real professionals. Not that there's an issue with any of our teachers that have done the CTE programs, because they're great folks. But what they haven't had is a chance for you to go to a real job site. So that it's going to take about 4 years, because we've just finished the freshman year to get all this transition in. But that's what the Academy's model hopes to bring in. And at the same time, if somebody says, hey, I really want to be a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, well, guess what? We've got a spot for you too, and you can learn, because every home builder has got to have an insurance plan. Somebody's got to keep the, right? So there's also a perspective to look at it that way, if that makes sense. So it's a different approach. And that's one of the things the foundation helped fund around the academies, was as they were looking at a different way to say, let's look at some models. And you may want to add on that too.
I just want to add that there's also Tennessee Reconnect in the state of Tennessee now, that any young person or anybody really who has left, they finished high school but they don't have a post-secondary credential, they can go back to a TCAT, Tennessee College of Applied Technology. We should know them as the area vocational schools. For free. The tuition is paid. So Tennessee Reconnect, you can call that trade school and ask about that.
Thank you for doing that. Yeah, and like Ron said, it's connecting all those partnerships with TCAT and others to make sure that we're helping create a pathway for them to get in successfully that as well. Other questions? I think I took first.
Ms. Chandler, are you the same that spoke at the Austin East graduation Wednesday?
I am.
Well, it was very inspiring. A very good team. Good man to be chosen over silver and gold. The greatness within you. That was. Now, I didn't see you. I was behind the stage. So,
Wow.
but I listened carefully over the noise of
It's
music.
amazing. Thank you.
I was hoping we were going to get to hear a repeat.
There you go. Yes.
For all these different things that are going to be in schools and are in schools now.
Yes.
And in staffs, how do you get the word out to the students that the resources available?
A couple pieces. So, and I'm gonna let you tag onto that. So, with the 865 Academy work, they're going to be hearing that as they become 8th graders and transition into high school. And that freshman year starts with them exploring and learning about pathways. A lot of parent meetings to share that. And again, there's been some confusion because folks think of the old school magnet school concept where I have to apply. Does that mean I'm going to school across town? No, you're staying in your own school. But then as far as with grad work and things too, there's a lot to share of how we let folks know about that too.
Yeah, so the school-based person, contact person is an important piece. But one of the other things that we've done intentionally over the years is to connect with youth serving partners and faith-based communities, people who serve our families outside of school hours, so that we make sure all of those voices are well informed so that they can help students to understand what's available.
And that's one of the things the foundation can do as a convening partner around some of this work is help connect. Again, we're not part of the school system. We're a separate 501c3 nonprofit. We are housed in the central office with the school system, so we're interacting with those folks, and our team are connectors in different ways. So the idea is when we see, hey, this isn't getting out there well, how do we then, can we set some community meetings? Can we meet with other partners? How do we get the message out? Yes, sir?
I'm assuming during COVID, virtual learning was a challenge.
Yes.
How have you all, hopefully God forbid it doesn't happen again, but if it does happen again, how have you all tried to prepare for that again? Because that, to me, that has set a lot of people back. And
It has, and I think we're seeing that in our literacy scores and things of that nature. And it did. It created a number of challenges. And the foundation stood up and funded hotspots and things to make sure kids had virtual access at home. I think right now one of the things we're doing is we're helping coordinate some of the tutoring that's taking place for recovery and connecting resources to students to ensure that they're getting help where they need to catch up. That's also part of the concept behind the Tools for Success Fund and the Student Success Fund is if a student's not doing well and there's a credit recovery need or something needs to happen to make sure they're graduating on time, we want to address that barrier, and there's some needs there. And Ronnie, you probably got some other things you can share because you were I was in Richmond during that, but you lived it right here. So
one thing I would just add to that is we are taking the lessons that we learned in that period and using. We learned to do a lot of connecting virtually. It's a great way to connect with our families. Young people communicate with us via text. So we are taking what we learned in that and continuing to use that. None of us knew what Zoom was before 2020. Then we got zoomed out.
That's true.
But we can still use that technology. I don't go to Nashville for a 1-hour meeting now and then drive back and come right back. I'm going to Zoom. I'm not going to drive 2 hours for 1 hour meeting. And so we take what we learned and continue to help our young people use those tools as they go forward.
Right. And I will say, even with the community schools work and other things, as we're now seeing telemedicine, it's brought services in or experiences that again, we've learned we don't want to go all the way fully virtual. Again, that was a disservice. But there's some benefits in there of virtual field trips and things, and especially as we're studying things that they can see it in the classroom that way, and then we can set up the actual hands-on trip. Any other questions? It's been a great group.
That was great. Appreciate it. Hey, a couple of things. Not big. Yeah, looks like we got 2 books. We give a book to Pond Cap School each week, and we have the speaker sign it. So this week we've got 2 books. One's Little Dreamers, Visionary Women Around the World, and the second one is Little Legends, Exceptional Men in Black History. So we'll have
Sometimes we coordinate those very well with speakers, and other times it's a challenge. They get good.
Yeah, sometimes we do better than others. And then also, I've got a gift.
I did.
You just put your name on it.
Right here? Okay.
And then we'll give it a fun gift. And I got a couple of gifts for you.
That's correct.
Appreciate your speaking. Do we have any other announcements? The speaker next week is going to be Michael Witcher, meteorologist. So if you want to know about the weather, next week's the week to be here. Smokey, Mike, can you lead us in the four-way test?
Yes, sir. Four-way test. Things we say or do. First,
Is it true?
Second,
Is it fair to all concerned?